Good morning. Welcome. I'm doing a little bit of an experiment here. I've somehow miraculously been able to figure out some of these details. I'm not so tech savvy, but I figured out how to open up the live chat in YouTube. And I'm also apparently going live on Facebook. So we'll see how this goes. Finally, you can post questions or comments or anything in the chat, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, as always, these are sort of open to the inspiration of the moment, but if something comes to you, you can always ask. So again, I just want to take a moment to really arrive here. We can, if you feel comfortable, keep your eyes open and really meet each other here. Maybe it takes a couple breaths, letting go to feel yourself arrive. Not just in your mind, but in your whole body. Oh, and there's the tears come. For me in this body, this is really the sign of arriving, of letting go, is when the tears fall. There's a greater openness and receptivity to the moment. And just notice what, if anything, transpires for you as you arrive here. And even though there may not be anyone physically in your presence, just taking each other in, whether you're listening live or whether you're listening as a recording, it doesn't matter. We can still meet each other as we are in the moment. To really feel what it's like to be present, to be open, to be available, to be seen. This can be some of the things that we long for the most in our lives, and yet can be the same things that cause all of our defenses and protective mechanisms to come into play. And if it is difficult to be here, just noticing that. As we move into these parts of ourselves, it's natural to feel uncomfortable. And allowing ourselves, being willing to feel that discomfort without moving away from it, is such a gift we give ourselves. However, if it becomes overwhelming to the point where we're beginning to disassociate or unable to, feeling intense anxiety or panic, of course, doing what you need to ground yourself. Whether it be moving your eyes away, taking in the sights and sounds of your surroundings, grounding yourself by feeling your feet or your hands. And then coming back when you're ready. Just noticing what it's like to be in this open availability with another or with others, without judgments or labels or ideas of what it means. Noticing if there's any trying to grasp hold or push away. To be in that presence as we've been practicing, just in this open space of availability. Being receptive to what we see rather than opening our vision more than closing down and focusing, is what tends to be when our eyes are open. We fixate and contract what we see, contract onto objects and stories of those objects and meanings of those objects. And just notice if that's happening for you, and if there's any possibility of opening up that lens. So it's almost this soft gazing. It's not fixated on any one point, but it's open to the totality. It's almost expanding the periphery of the vision to the sides, up and down. And if at any time the vision becomes fixated again, just extending that invitation to open without judging it or shaming it or making it wrong. And possibly even including sounds. Can we have this open, expansive attention that includes not only what we're seeing, but also the sounds around us? And just noticing if there's this movement or contraction towards the sound, or if the sound you can stay in this rested place and allow the sound to come to you. And maybe it's letting out a couple sighs and feeling your body become heavier, the chair or the floor, to really ground yourself in that rested space. It's not so much telling ourselves how to be in the moment, trying to make ourselves let go, but rather being the space in which gives permission for the body to let go on its own. Allowing the body to let go. And it doesn't matter how much we let go. We might notice nothing. We might notice it strengthening the contraction in the body, or we might notice it relaxing, becoming very heavy. So again, we don't go to war with ourselves, whether we're more contracted, and then we resist the contraction and add more contraction to it. By even allowing the contraction to be there, we reduce our suffering. By not fighting it, fighting our experience as it is, as it manifests in this moment. And then again, just noticing if there's been a limitation come in, the eyes becoming more focused, more contracted, noticing if the sounds have become, there's more of an effort to go out to the sounds. And if there is, again, resting in that space of allowing it to let go, allowing it to soften. Eyes open, or you can soften your gaze or close your eyes. Really following your body's own lead. And even including the body and the awareness, not only what you're seeing, what you're hearing. Can you be to them, not contracting around them, not creating a story about them? Rather, just allowing the sensations to be there, to be noticed as they are. To really rest in this effortless place where experience is simply happening. Where we're rested and relaxed, and yet still open and receptive and available to what is simultaneously. Just really granting yourself full permission to simply be. Self permission that being is really enough, at least just for this moment. To be almost radical in this willingness to rest, allowing rest to happen. Rest not necessarily meaning sleep. Rest in the sense of relaxing, the sense of needing to do, contracting around our experience, moving into our experience, efforting. It's so habitual to be in this constant state of efforting, of trying, of moving from this contracted place that's trying to get somewhere. Even trying to focus our attention. This is contracted effort. And allowing ourselves this radical permission to drop all of that, even for just right now. Just let your experience be exactly how it is. If there's sleepiness, if the mind's wandering, to just be. Just giving up all of the impulses to do something with whatever arises, or to assign meaning to whatever arises. That it means something and I need to do something. And sometimes with those words, give up trying to do anything about it. Can install fear or projections into the future that are quite anxiety producing for some. For some, it might induce a deepening into the rest and peacefulness of the moment. And if there are projections that are coming up that are anxiety producing, just allowing those to be here too. And instead welcoming it not so much as a truth that this is true and this is going to happen, but as a noticing it as an impulse of the mind. It's engaging with it more with this from this place of openness and of this moment. Try to convince us that now is not enough, or it's not safe to rest. It's not safe to let go, or not safe to give up. Or if possible, even just seeing it as an image. If there is this projection into the future that's quite disturbing, just seeing it as an image appearing in the mind. Rather than investing in its reality. And otherwise, just resting here, residing in this place of total surrender to the moment. It's as if we've taken a 180 direction shift. In how we show up. Rather than moving forward, we're resting backwards. We're allowing our experience to appear and disappear and change and shift. Feeling that somehow life is over there and I'm over here, and I need to engage with life in a certain way in order for it to be okay. And from this place of this isn't about taking it on as an idea, rather even just considering that idea, noticing how that shows up and how that affects your body. Can deepen the realization and move it beyond just an idea, beyond just a belief. Wants to come in, or the body sensation potentially, or an emotion arises that wants to pull you out. To just keep noticing that. Notice what that is, what that feels like, how it shows up in terms of your relationship with life, with your experience, whether in meditation or not in formal meditation. I just wanted to share, there was a little story, a personal story, of course, as I so often do, of just noticing what it's like when we grab hold of a story, of an idea of ourselves, and how that can really take us out of this open, spacious idea that's behind whatever mental drama is playing out in our current experience. That there are all these mental dramas, especially the ones of being a victim, this belief of not being wanted, this continual belief that sort of I suck at relationships or whatever it is for you, just noticing how that creeps in there and how we can grab hold of that and what that can do to our experience. And just noticing how that then contracted my whole world, all this spaciousness felt so far away and almost impossible to tap into. And we can just notice that. Notice how that all plays out. It might be very difficult to do in the moment, but afterwards reflecting on it, seeing what was that really about. To then lose trust in this open receptivity of life, that life is then revealing itself in and through us. So being very patient and very kind to ourselves as these old patterns come up. As soon as they come up, it can feel so like, especially if we've been doing revealing themselves. When am I ever going to be done? When is all of this shadow part of my personality going to be healed? And just noticing how that then affects how you show up, how you relate to yourself, to the world, how that then contracts in the body, even physiologically, to feel that contraction in the body. To notice the patterns, the behaviors associated with it. Maybe old coping mechanisms come back, whether they're running for a drink or eating or compulsively looking for another relationship or distracting ourselves or to punish ourselves for our experience. Or to punish others for our experience. And this can be difficult, especially as we open up and there's more spaciousness around our experience and we can allow things to come up. And we are this space where it gives naturally, effortlessly gives permission for things to be as they are, for us to rest back. And then all of a sudden, it's like this tsunami, this crunching down, this limitation where we feel so small and alone and separate. And having to defend and protect ourselves. And this doesn't have to mean that something's wrong. This can be part of the pattern, the unwinding of noticing what that feels like, that contracted energy, noticing the stories, noticing what it is that triggers them, how they get triggered, maybe where these stories came from, originated, how they then play out in our relationships and our patterns and compulsions, behaviors. And then noticing as the space opens up again, that none of this is really under our control. We think that another layer of shame that we should be at a certain spot, or this shouldn't be happening anymore. To then even embrace that. Allow it to be as it is, to move as it is. I even notice myself physically needing to act out on the emotions. This sense of frustration, this sense of anger, rage, hopelessness, all of these emotions came through me yesterday as a story was spinning out. Throwing rocks, talking to myself, screaming at God. It doesn't need to look like any one way, but sometimes that contracted energy comes, and there's this movement that wants to expel this energy, needs to get it out. And can we be the space for that too? Even if it doesn't feel spacious when we're in it, can we allow? It still has this element of allowing. It's when we believe that it shouldn't look like this, it shouldn't feel like this, I shouldn't be like this, that it perpetuates the story, perpetuates the energy. Just noticing, even for myself, how it hooked in, okay, there's something more I need to do. I need to fix this, or I need to understand this about myself. And then all of a sudden it just kind of gave up. Flowering. Just giving up. Letting go of the burden of personal responsibility for this life. That it's about me and my failings and my limitations. Or you and your failings and your... Simply through resting in that space of allowing it to be. Sometimes it might be looking into that sense of victimhood. Things not moving in our life in a certain way that we'd like it to. And then going into the psychology behind that, trying to analyze and self-assess why it's not happening. But sometimes also, I had this glimpse yesterday, there was all kinds of things going on. This glimpse yesterday that, how do I know that this isn't supposed to be happening, or that this is something about this individual that's wrong, inherently wrong or flawed? That is attracting all of these so-called negative things into its life. But there was this that life is kind of living us in a way, living through us in a way, giving us the situations that we need in a way to not good enough, unlovable, whatever the stories might be. And that whatever is happening then is framed in that light, seen through that light. Oh, it's because I'm not lovable that this is happening, or it's because, see, I'm not lovable, or see, I'm not wanted, or see, I'm not worthy because this is happening. But really, do we know it's because we're not worthy? Maybe this is happening in a way of blossoming us in a way we can't see or understand. Maybe it has nothing to do with our worthiness or unworthiness. Understand. Maybe it has nothing to do with our worthiness or unworthiness. So this is where the mind can get all confused. Well, what is it? Do I go into the story? Do I experience? Or is this me and then I'm interpreting it? I'm rejecting it based on these stories. And I'm not really going to give you an answer to that. That it's not really any one of those things, but it's all of those things. Like, who knows? And if there's a movement within us, and just noticing if it's where it's coming from within you, if it's from this place of fear, am I going into this to try to fix myself, to make myself a better person than fix myself? But yet it doesn't preclude so-called fixing ourselves or improving ourselves either. That they're the sights and the sounds, but also the thoughts and the inspiration and the sensations and emotions. That we rest back deeper in our experience and allow, maybe there's this big emotional release that we've been suppressing. Or it doesn't need to be words or therapy behind it. It just wants to permission to express itself. And then to release this, then the story around it is somehow magically released or transformed in some way. Or maybe as we rest more deeply, insights come that maybe it's worth looking into this more deeply, to investigating these thoughts and beliefs and challenging these negative core drivers, or false core drivers, they're called in psychology. And as we rest more deeply, we can also notice when we're moving from this place of love, and that there's this more spacious peacefulness that permeates our movements forward, even if it is to deepen our understanding or go into the psychology behind it or access counseling or whatever it might be. To investigate the behavior and notice the thoughts and sensations and the core drivers that lie underneath the stickiness of the pattern. It just has this different energy about it when we're doing it from this place of loving, restful, effortless attention. We're not doing it from this place of something's wrong and it will be better, but rather this open availability to our experience as it is. This love and curiosity and willingness to be in the discomfort, not okay and will be okay once it figures us out. It's coming from this place of everything's okay. It's okay just as it is. It's okay for me to see this. It's okay for me to feel this. It's okay for me to want to work on this. It's okay because this is what is. This is what life. This is what is wanting to manifest, wanting to become known, wanting to be seen now. Whether it be loving, encouraged to dismiss this kind of interaction or this kind of emotional exposure, vulnerability, or however we want to put it. So these spaces where we can come together and really be in the truth of our experience as it is, without trying to comfort other people or make other people feel comfortable around us by then becoming a performer and being how we think they want us to be in that moment for the situation to then play out and everyone to be okay, which is all these little subtle games that we play. But to let that go for even just this hour, to be together in a way where none of that has to play a part. It's again, this rare and precious gift, in my opinion anyway. So thank you. Namaste. I was going to be here on Friday. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, something came up for me in which I can't be here. So I will be back on Monday.